like a good, you know, fat mono
Yeah.
sound. And I'm actually running out of this tube splitter.
Okay, actually that's a good, let's get into this whole pedal board bit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna plug them both in.
Yeah.
Do we need to take this one down a little bit or?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Here, get rid
Back
of
the
this.
deluxe.
Yeah, get that in the sweet spot. It's,
There it is.
okay, now let's talk through pedals. What all's going on here?
Yeah, so like some of this gear, there are things that I've just had for years that I know and love, and you know that I'm constantly fixing up. But for starters, this prescription electronics experience pedal has been something I've had for, I don't know, 20 years.
Really?
I've had so many fuzzes over the years, but if I have to have one, I always come back to this one, and it's gnarly, you know. It's like.
Wow.
If I back it off. You know, and the octave is so cool. You know, it's like yelling at your neighbors.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's very cool. Okay,
Which sometimes you need, you know?
Yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely.
So I go into that first, and then I've got a couple of overdrives. I've got an old Electra EQ that I like. It's interesting, it just has a character and a bit of color. It's different to the Boss EQs.
So is that an old one? I mean, Electra, that old company. I imagine they haven't made that for a while.
I think it's probably like a 70s pedal.
Yeah, I've never seen that pedal.
Or an 80s pedal, maybe. Yeah, so that's good. And I shave a little 100 out of there just if there's some mud.
Yeah.
You know.
So is that where you generally run it? Just 100 down a bit and mids up a tiny bit?
Mids up just a hair. Yeah.
Is that kind of an on all the time pedal?
It seems to end up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And engineers like it too when I'm clearing out mud for them, because they're always high passing.
Yeah.
Before they even start mixing, you know.
Right, they start there.
I mean, I watch them. I'm like, well, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's right. Before we even start, they're like, I know I'm gonna hate it. I'm just gonna shave it off now.
And it's funny because when they turn the whole track on, the guitar sounds so good, and I get why they're leaving that space for the bass and the kick drum, and you know, it makes sense. So then the EQ pushes the front of the Gainster.
Yeah, okay, what is that thing?
Yeah, that's a pedal that Clark builds. I think they're making them again. They built them in the early 2000s.
That is a big pedal.
Yeah, and it's all amp parts.
Oh, really?
They're like full-size capacitors and resistors.
Oh, well, let's hear that weirdo.
So, yeah, it's just cool. It's a really good first stage. You know, it just feels like an amp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, and it's really like elastic. Like, it'll sound clean if I lighten up.
Yeah.
And if I bang it, it'll do its thing, you know?
Okay, love that. Okay, so from that one, it's called Gainster.
Gainster.
Gainster, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Gainster, okay.
Yeah, it's like got a
oh, okay.
picture of a gangster.
Yeah, pretty punny.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dad jokes forever.
Right.
And then that goes into the Shadow Box, which is a pedal I'm working on with XTS here in town. And I wanted a pedal that had high and low pass filters, so I could take both sides, and then a mid control, like a very specifically tuned mid control to push in the middle. And then it's also got a gain. It's like a catch-all, like rental amp pedal.
Yeah.
Is what I told him. I was like, you know, on fly dates, you end up with a deluxe reverb or, you know,
whatever.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And if you you had one pedal where you could sort of take that and, you know, put your own canvas on top of it to kind of make it fun and usable, then that's what this is almost.
Yeah.
We're like a couple of revisions away from,
oh, cool.
from getting it there.
Well, let's hear that bad boy.
So this is, and this would be a, right now I have it set as a second gain stage.
Okay.
So there's the gainster. And here's what it can do, it's pretty cool. If I want to dump the low end, I can go really narrow. Like, I told him I wanted it to be able to do like AM radio, small speaker sound, you know. So it's a total scene change.
Totally.
So it's a studio tool, but it's also, you know, intended for being a pretty versatile.
Right.
You can put all that stuff back in, obviously.
Yeah.
So the filters are pretty radical with what they peel away on the low end and the high end. So yeah, it's getting there.
So what's the process like with SES? Are you told them what you wanted, they built it, you've been kind of beta testing it now?
Yeah.
And then you'll give them notes and they'll tweak?
Yeah, I'll play around with it for a while and figure out what I like and what still needs to be worked on and go back and Greg's got a breadboard of the components and we'll switch things out.
Yeah.
Then we'll live with that for a while and then you know, that's kind of the design process with those guys.
Those guys are great.
They're
awesome. So on it, man.
Yeah, they're killer, man. I mean, such good ears.
Yeah, and that's so cool. What a great tool. Okay.
Yeah.
So out of the shadow box, what are we hitting now?
Yeah, and then it hits the Southland, the Greer Amps Southland pedal.
Okay. Let's hear what that
which
thing
I
does.
really like. So all three.
Oh, that's great.
So, you know, it's a cascading thing.
Yeah. Well,
it's
I love every tone. I think they're all great.
Yeah, I mean, and they work individually too. You know, it's one of those things where it changes every day. And
so is there one point in the night where everything's on?
Yes. Yeah. There probably will be.
Yeah, right. Sound engineer just turns it off and it's so loud.
It'll be feeding back. It'll be all the effects. It'll be like honey.
Lights.
Yeah. It's the honey, we have a sitter, and I'm having fun.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so after that, what are we hitting next?
Then it goes to this VFE pedal, which is interesting because it has a buffer in it that I love. So I always leave the pedal on with the depth down. So I kind of think of it like having tremolo in an amp.
Oh.
So
it's a tremolo pedal.
Yeah, so it's always in the circuit.
Yeah.
But the depth is off. So I kind of just kick it with my toe when I want to turn some tremolo on.
All right.
It's a killer tremolo, man. It's one of my favorite pedals.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Here it is, so you can hear the buffer. Hear what it does.
It's funny that something so seemingly inconsequential makes a big difference.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where accidentally one day I was like, oh, that's weird. This pedal sounds good, and it's not even doing anything. It's just on.
Right.
And then I really got used to having it on. So that's become for me like the memory man and the fuzz. the experience pedal, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I gotta have one.
Yeah.
At all times.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so from that, what are we hitting next?
Then I've got, I got this Boss Super Shifter.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool for subtle, like, bombs, you know.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know, it's like a whammy pedal.
It's like a banjo tuner, man.
Yeah.
So, is that primarily what you use it for?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the setting I always use. It's got a really cool vibrato in it too, actually.
Yeah, you know, if you set it, it also has a really good chorus when you set them right
up
the top. Yeah. It's like real subtle and...
Yeah. They're sneaky, man. I feel like that is a really versatile pedal that's still very affordable.
Yeah.
And a great tool to get, you know, quirky things out of.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I love that. The whammy bar thing is such a cool little trick.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Okay, so from there?
From there, this is another pedal that I love and just kind of accidentally fell into. It's this Guillotone chorus flanger pedal, but it has a setting in the middle that's a vibrato setting.
Huh.
And I bought it just on a whim one day because I saw in the picture that little VIB, and I thought, oh, that could be a nice alternative to a Boss VB2.
Yeah.
And I think I like it more.
Really?
It's not as versatile as a VB2, but it's just really nice with some Memory Man. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like drifting, floating around or something.
Yeah, love it. Okay.
And I have that on my acoustic board too, which we'll get to.
Oh, cool.
I have another one. And so I go from there into the Memory Man.
I love that. How long have you had that Memory Man?
I've had that, I bought it the first month I moved to Nashville.
No kidding.
From Nashville Used Music.
God.
And it was in a milk crate of broken pedals for $50. And I just looked at it and I was like, well, the reason it doesn't work is because the wire snapped off from the power, you know, the wall wart thing.
Sure.
And so I took it home and I fixed it and it worked.
God.
And it's been the one it's been the pedal I've probably owned the longest.
And I love you were so adroit at like controlling it with your feet. With those big, as impractical as those huge pedals are, you can do it all with your feet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well, you can do it all with your feet.
Well,
I don't know if,
Let's see if I follow my ass tonight.
Right. So, do you usually come in? I see, like in the beginning, you had the Memory Man with almost all the way down. Is that kind of is there like a main setting you use on it, or?
Yeah, like for ambient things, this is pretty close to what I would. I like the delays to. I don't like them to speak too much. I like it to wash out in the background, you know?
Yeah.
So it almost becomes a reverb.
Right.
So that's the main ambient setting, and then, you know, obviously they're great for slapback.
Right.
Turn the feedback down and turn it up a little bit. And I mean, and you could have another delay on your board for a slapback, but I just sort of figured that does it. So,
oh man, yeah, that's killer.
Less stuff, the better.
Love it. That's like the best $50 purchase I bet you've made in a long time. Okay.
Yeah, I can't even fill my gas tank in my car for $50. You know what I mean?
Oh God, what a different world.
Jeez.
Okay, from the Memory Man, what is this mystery thing you're hitting?
This is an Australian company that reached out to me a couple months ago called Ecofix, and they make a really amazing tape echo, which I don't know if they're the only one. There must be one of the only companies building a brand new tape echo.
Yeah, not a lot of them.
With tape, right?
Yeah.
And they said, hey, we're making some pedals. Can we send you some stuff to try? And I said, yeah, great. And so they sent me this spring reverb, and I really like it.
Is that the verb we've been hearing?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
I've got it set real subtle.
Right, right.
But it's cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
I can turn it up a bit.
Sounds great.
It never gets in the way, which is cool, and it's sort of there, but I'm not really that aware of it, which I like as well.
Right.
It's just sort of happening in the background.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, and it also does this thing where you can
what's that? Yeah.
kick it.
Yeah.
Which I love that kind of thing.
I love that sound, yeah. Yeah, I do. It's a very guitar player thing.
Well, and it's like, it's alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not some box of digital stuff. It's like, it'll blow up if you want it to.
Right, right, yeah. A good stage stomp, and that thing is going to make that sound.
I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do too.
And so that runs into this tube splitter.
Yeah, okay,
vacuum tube splitter.
What is that thing?
This thing is basically a version of the Rycuda amp splitter.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a tube circuit inside of a box, and it's basically, I think of it like a master tone control.
Oh, okay.
So it's really cool, like with guitars with different outputs, different pickups, humbuckers, single coils, P90s, whatever. It's great on a gig because I can balance the output of those guitars really quickly on the fly and not have to worry about changing stuff on the amps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's like a master gain stage thing. And it's got a really killer tone control. It's just a beautifully designed piece of gear.
It looks like it came off a Russian sub.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's great.
Maybe it did.
Yeah, right. So let's keep this on and talk about your pedal board right quick. So what are you running into here?
So I'm running these in line, actually. Like these Grace Felix boxes have an effects loop in them, but I'm just running in line. I have the UA Golden reverb.
Oh, those are great, right?
They're awesome, man. It's just real subtle, not too much.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit of plate reverb, and then the pedal I was talking about earlier, the gear tone chorus flanger.
Okay, how do you set that on this?
So this, I have something else to fix before the show. Subtle, but it's
just cool.
After 7 or 8 songs acoustic, it's nice just to have something subtle to change the scene for a minute,
Yeah, got you.
And it works great for that.
Yeah.
And then I run through the pre last. I love these Grace boxes, man. They're like ultimo acoustic pre, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They make amazing studio outboard gear, and so.
And that's just a preamp. It's
that's a 2-channel version. I'm just using 1 channel out of it.
Sure.
And it's got a boost built in. It's got a tuner mute. But what's really handy with these K&K pickups is they inherently have a low-end rumble that you've got to tune out. I mean, it's the only way to really make them drive. And so these Grace boxes have a high-pass filter, which mine's set around 100 right now, just to dump that low-end rumble. You still get beautiful low-end.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes that really low stuff you don't need out.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't, unless you take that out, you can't really even hear the low end if it's just all kind of a mush.
Right.
Yeah, that's great, man.
And it helps when you traveling around and you got a different engineer every day, and you can already send them a signal that is saving them from scratching their head straight away. you know, it just sort of helps move things along, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, the front house is not, here the front house is amazing.
Yes.
But a lot of venues, it's luck of the draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
guy's still
some guy
hungover,
looking at his phone, he doesn't care.
Breaking up with his girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you've got the TU3 tuner. Okay.
Yep.
Simple.